Hey guys, today I am making some pasta in the Philips pasta maker. So I figured I would take you guys along with me. I have had some requests to show how I make pasta in this pasta maker. So I have my fresh milled durum wheat. You could also do this with kamut or with hard white as well. And I will have the principal recipe in the description box down below for you guys to see the written version of the recipe. Okay, so again, I milled this on the fine setting in my Nutrimo Classic, and this again is durum. So I'm going to start by measuring out my water. So to our pasta maker, I'm going to be adding water, egg, and flour and salt, and that's it. All right, so I'm adding my water to this little cup that the pasta maker comes with. I'm adding 140 grams of water. On the recipe, you will notice that it calls for anywhere between 140 to 160 grams of water. And the reason for that difference is that depending on what grain you're using or your climate, you may need a little bit more or a little bit less water. So I always just start with the minimum, and if I need more, I'll just add it in later. But I typically find that I'm good at around 140 grams. So you mix the egg into the water, into this cup that it comes with. Okay, and so here is the pasta maker. Here are the buttons that it has on here. So I'm going to open by pressing, there's this white tab here, press it and it opens up. And I'm going to put my flour in first. Okay, now I'm going to put in my salt, and I'm using 7 grams of salt. This is optional. You could just salt your water if you don't want too much salt, but I do like to salt the pasta. Okay, 7 grams. So now we have our salt and our flour in, which is our dry ingredients. So now we are going to turn it on and gradually add in the liquid ingredients. Okay. So I'm going to press this auto button right here, and that's going to start. I'm sorry, I'm going to press the play button right here, and that's going to, I'm choosing the auto setting. If I choose this setting, this is the extrude only setting, and we don't want that. So choose the auto and then hit the play button and slowly pour in our liquid ingredients, our water and egg. Looks like I didn't mix the egg very well, but it went in. All right, so we're going to let this go until it gets down to 0, and then we're going to stop the machine because I don't want it to extrude just yet. I want to allow it to sit and absorb the water. If you are in a hurry, you can extrude immediately, but if you have time, I do encourage you to wait at least 15 to 20 minutes to give the flour some time to absorb the water. That'll give you a better texture with your pasta. But if for some reason you have to skip this, when the pasta comes out, if it's looking a little straggly, you can extrude and then toss it back in and extrude it again in order to get the desired texture. So I'm seeing some flour on the side here. You don't have to do this, but I'm just going to pause it because I want to make sure that everything is well incorporated. And hit play, and it just picks up from where it left off. So this mixing cycle is 3 minutes long. It's going to beep to let us know that it's done. And once it beeps, I'm going to turn it off. I'm going to hit the power button and allow it to sit for, let's see how much time I have. I don't have much time, so I'm going to allow it to sit for about 15 minutes. And then I will come back and do the whole cycle again. So I'll do the mix and then I'll do the extrude. And I won't stop it this time after the next time after the mix. I do like to stand by the machine as it goes through the 3 minutes of mixing, because if I walk away, there's a good chance I won't make it back in time to hit stop, and then it will start to extrude the pasta, and I do not want that. While that's going, I will show you some of the dies that I have for it. This looks like another spaghetti die. It comes with a fettuccine, I believe. It comes with 8 different dies. I have one on the machine, and that is the spaghetti one. Okay, so I'm turning the machine off and I'm going to allow it to sit for 15 minutes, and we'll be back after 15 minutes. Hey guys, so it's been about 15 to 20 minutes now. So I'm going to turn the machine back on, and I'm going to allow it to run the auto cycle again. So it's going to mix again for 3 minutes, and this time I'm going to allow it to extrude. Okay, so I have about 30 seconds left on this 3-minute extrude cycle. I'm sorry, mixing cycle. So for the 15 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes of rest time, I was able to prepare my pasta sauce. And so that allows for this whole pasta making to go by very quickly. It only takes a few minutes to get the ingredients in and get it mixed. And then you let it sit while you prepare your pasta sauce. And then you come back and allow it to mix again for 3 minutes and then extrude. So the mixing cycle just ended, and now it's switched to the extrude. So you will start to see it come out. So the first, you'll notice that when it first comes out, it will look a bit more wild. And I just let it come out, and then after a while I'll cut it off, toss it back in, and then it'll be a lot smoother of pasta. I am going to be using this metal bench scraper to chop the pasta, but it does come with a plastic scraper as well. So this pasta is perfectly fine to use, but because some of it is a bit jagged, I am going to cut it and then allow it to continue here. So I'm just going to pause the machine, and I'm going to toss this back in. Just like that. And as you can see, it's now coming out a lot neater. I like keeping a pan under it so it can catch the pasta, and then I can store the pasta on this as well. And while I'm extruding, I do have my water on the stove coming up to a boil as well. So I'm going to go ahead and cut, and then I just take it and just gently twirl it into a little pasta nest and put it on my pan. I don't find that I need to coat it with any flour or anything. It's not a very sticky pasta. If I were to press on it, it would smush. But if you're gentle with it, I find that I don't need any extra flour. So you could take these pasta nests and put them in the freezer. Some people dry them out. I don't typically make pasta in bulk, so when I make it, my family eats all of it. So the recipe calls for 500 grams of fresh milled flour. That should serve about 8 people depending on the portion sizes. And That's the maximum that can be done in this machine from my understanding. Again, there's our pasta. Gonna make a little pasta nest here and just set it on our pan. So as you can see, this is so much faster than making the dough yourself and, you know, using a pasta roller to roll it out. Although I do enjoy that because it just feels a little therapeutic and it is fun. But when you're in a time crunch and you need a quick dinner, this Philips pasta maker really comes in handy, and it works beautifully with fresh milled flour. And if you're catching this video in time, I do believe that this is on sale for Black Friday. It's been on an early Black Friday sale. And so hopefully that continues. You can cut this at your desired length. I don't really look for anything in particular. I just cut it once it starts to get long. If you want them short, you can cut them short. It's just up to your personal preference. This recipe does work with the different pasta shapes. It doesn't only work for spaghetti. This is just what my family requested today, and so that's why I'm using the spaghetti disc. Okay, so I'm gonna let this continue to extrude. It's probably going to be another 7 to 10 minutes, and then I will come back to show you what I do. So when you're done extruding, there's a little bit of dough that is left in the machine that cannot pass through, and I'll show you what I do with that once it's done. So I'm opening it here just to make sure that all of the dough gets pushed through, because we're at the end of the extrude cycle. Sometimes you may find that you have to, once it ends, if there's still a lot of dough or enough dough to continue to pass through, you can do the extrusion only cycle instead of going through the whole mixing cycle again to get that last bit of dough through. Okay, so we're at the end of the extrude cycle. I don't have any dough left in the inner chamber in here, but when I take it apart, I will find some dough behind the disc that is not enough to come out. So I'm about to cut these little strands, and you'll notice that at the end, the pasta looks lighter in color. That's normal. Um, it just looks like it doesn't have much bran in it. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this and see if there's anything left in here. So this is what's left in the machine. I don't think that that is enough to extrude. So I'm just going to stop it, and you can see how much pasta we made here. And so I'm going to get the last bit of dough out of the machine and show you guys what I do with it. So you twist these knobs and the front plate comes off, and then here is where the disc comes off, and we can see that there's some dough around here. So I'm gonna simply scoop out what I can. And these are very easy to clean. This machine is very easy to clean. I will usually just leave this on my table, and it ends up drying, and then it comes with an attachment right here, this little attachment here, and you just take it and you can easily poke out the dough. And I find it all comes out very easily after it's dried, because when it's a little wet, it kind of wants to hang on. But once it's dry, you just poke it and it just knocks out really easily. But even when it's wet, it still comes out. But I'm usually in a hurry, so I usually just stop my machine and carry on making my pasta and then worry about the washing part later. But you know, I'm often asked how hard is it to clean? And you can see that literally took just a few seconds to come clean. Of course, you can still use some soap and water just to make sure it's completely clean. And then here we have this part, just some soap and water. As you can see, there's not much on there. And then this comes off. This little debris here is not stuck on, so a little soap and water, and that cleans very easily as well. Our mixing paddle is very easy to clean. Anything that's stuck on here, again, use this tool and it comes out very easily. And again, there's this last part here and nothing sticks to it. Everything rubs off pretty easily. So put these into some soap and water and it's a breeze to clean. There's a little brush on the end of this to brush off any flour that may have gotten onto your machine. I'm going to turn the machine off now. And so this is the little bit of dough that was left behind, and I'll show you what I do with it. I just take it and I just roll it with a rolling pin and chop it up and just toss it in with the rest of the pasta so nothing goes to waste. So with this, I'm not at all concerned about perfection. I just don't want it to go to waste. So I just flatten it a little and then use my bench scraper to just chop it into strips. Nothing perfect. If you don't mind a bit of waste, you could just toss it out, but I just don't find it necessary to waste. And my children don't mind it in the pasta at all. So this is what I do with the little bit of leftover dough in the machine. All right, and that's it. And I will just boil that all together. Okay, so my water is boiling now. I'm going to go ahead and cook my pasta. If you guys have any questions, feel free to comment below. Thank you guys so much for watching.